Local newspaper took a different approach in bringing the community together. Sierra Whaley went to Camden to check out the Villager Cafe.
Get a coffee, get a muffin, enjoy, hang out, meet your friends. And I'll add to that, put down your phone and pick up the paper.
Connection in the community. That's the goal of the Midcoast Villager newspaper, which provides news for primarily Knox and Waldo counties. However, they wanted to add to that by opening up Villager Cafe in Camden, a place where locals can get a good cup of coffee, delicious breakfast or lunch, but also connect about important topics with the reporters, editors, or publishers themselves.
It's a totally different experience to engage with the news in community, right? To have an embodied presence of the news and of what the news can spur, which we hope is better understanding of our communities, better connection to each other, holding government to account, and also knowing what to do Friday night.
While locals can enjoy a good cup of joe and get the tea on what's happening on the Midcoast, Britt tells WABI this was always a part of their plan after relaunching the paper in September 2024, creating a space where people can understand that within a time where differences may be the headline, healthy discussion of important topics keeps communities thriving.
That's really the dream, is to bring people into community, to have conversations that we lost the habit of having in a sort of civil and respectful and reasonable way.
A mission built on over a century of journalism, adapting to the current times and doing what matters most, finding solutions in the place locals call home.
When you are together, face to face with your neighbors who may have different lawn signs than you realize you are confronted, you cannot escape the fact that you have so much in common.
Sierra Whaley, WABI News, Camden.